What we're taking a look at down here is probably one of the most common wild plants we'll find growing throughout the UK. Classed as a weed, and it covers woodland floors absolutely everywhere. It's one of those things, once you've seen it once or twice and you get used to it, you'll find it on every single walk you go on. It's down here and it's called ground ivy. So like I say, an edible species, quite nice. If we look at it from an ID point of view, the leaves are kidney shaped and hairy all over with long kind of scraggly stems. They do have a serrated edge, but it's not saw-like. It's a rounded margin. So the edge of it is serrated, it comes in and out, but it's rounded. It tends to grow like this where it sprawls across the floor. You very rarely see it jumping up and jumping to this height. It more than likely fall on the floor and it'll sprawl. So you'll see stems down here which grow to maybe 40 or 50 centimetres, and they'll go across the floor like this and then just put leaves up. It's the same when it flowers. So the flowers produced a purple in colour and they're kind of funnel shaped, and they'll come off oppositely on these stems that go across the ground. So the plant itself is in the mint family, and one of the other ID features for it is the stem. So you have a look at the stem, you can actually roll it in your fingers and you can feel that it's got 4 distinct edges to the stem, which all plants in the mint family have. Sadly, it doesn't taste that strong of mint. Some people do get a mild mint flavour, but the flavour I tend to get from it is something more like sage, rosemary and thyme. And the way I like to use this is in a concoction either with all of those things or as a substitute in recipes for them. So any recipe that calls for sage, rosemary or thyme, I can pull those ingredients out and I can put ground ivy in, which makes it a really versatile ingredient. There's literally thousands of recipes that have those 3 ingredients in that I can now pull those out and start to utilise ground ivy in. It's got another name, which is called ale-hoof. So traditionally it was used for flavouring beers, ales, and that was prior to the import and the common use of hops. So you'll hear of it being called ale-hoof. What do I think it could be confused with? So there's a couple of things I think this could potentially be confused with. One is garlic mustard, or Jack by the hedge, in its first year of growth, because it's got this liver shaped leaf with rounded margin. However, if you were to pick that up and munch it, garlic mustard would taste garlicky and mustardy. And that also grows from one central spot, leaves out from a spot, whereas this grows from a stem which tends to crawl across the floor. And the other thing you could confuse it with is lesser celandine, which is kind of greasy, smooth on top, whereas this one's prominently quite hairy on top. And they're the 2 main things. You could potentially confuse it for other species within the mint family because of that square stem when they're very young, but you don't need to worry about that, they're also edible. Some will taste more minty, some less minty, and like I say, this one, some people do get a mild minty flavour from it. So that's this one down here. It's called ground ivy, a fantastic edible which can be used as a replacement or a substitute for sage, rosemary or thyme.